So from the video there, you can already see the importance of mentoring relationships in various people's lives. But we also wanted to kind of get some expert opinions on the subject, on the benefits of a mentoring relationship.
Hi. Earlier this year, I had the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Temple Grandin. She is a professor of animal science at Colorado State University. As a young child, Dr. Grandin was diagnosed with autism, which resulted in her inability to get through a lot of obstacles in life. It wasn't until she reached high school and she met an unselfish mentor where she finally began to break through some doors and view all of her obstacles in life as doors. Her mentor encouraged her to open those doors and pass through them in order to break through. Dr. Grandin is now one of the most accomplished and well-known adults with autism in the world. Her life story has been displayed on the Hollywood big screen in an HBO movie titled Temple Grandin, and her influence on animal science has revolutionized the cattle industry. I had the extreme pleasure to speak with Dr. Grandin on that role of mentoring. Please take a few minutes and listen to a portion of this interview.
Good morning, Dr. Grandin.
Yes.
This is Jeff.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay.
If you're ready, this won't take very long, I don't think.
Yes, I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready.
Just like to ask you, what qualities do you think are most important in a mentor?
Well, one thing my science teacher did for me is I had really interesting projects to do with him. I also, he was willing to spend a great deal of time with me. I mean, I spent at least like all day Saturday with him, almost every week for 2 years. A good mentor is going to need to have to put a lot of time into it. But also, it's got to be, you got to challenge, I had to be challenged. He gave me challenging projects to do, talk about interesting scientific stuff. So it's kind of a combination of turning the person on academically, but also mentor too on just social stuff. Like telling the colleague at work he's stupid was not a good idea, and just kind of explaining to the person that that's not the thing to do.
So would you say your science teacher was your most influential
mentor?
Yeah,
my science teacher was really an important, in terms of academically, in terms of career, he was really important.
What sort of things did he do for you? I mean, you mentioned...
well, he got me turned on to school. I was goofing around in school, and I didn't feel like studying.
Okay.
So he got me interested in studying.
How about personally?
So I had some other mentors that maybe did a bit more. My aunt probably did a bit more on that, on personal things. And then, of course, when I was young, it was my mother. But academically, it was my science teacher. I mean, I would have never gotten into my career if my science teacher hadn't got me interested in studying.
You were diagnosed with autism at a young age.
Yes, that's right.
Do you feel that you had a greater need for a mentor as opposed to children without autism?
Well, yes, I think so, definitely. And the thing is, there's a lot of people that just have a little, that's kind of geeky, nerdy people. A lot of people that would get interested working for the Weather Service, and they'd be very good at it. Might have a mild touch of autism, not very social, kind of geeky, socially awkward. They'll be very good at their job technically. In terms of technical stuff with weather, they'd be super good. But where they need to be mentored is, there was a sad case where a guy, kind of a geeky guy, lost a job because there was a person was put into a job and was kind of a political appointee, and he wasn't very qualified. And this person made the mistake of standing up in the middle of an employee meeting and saying, well, so-and-so just isn't really qualified for the job. But you see, the big political boss wanted him in there, so they fired him, even though he had really good performance reviews. Yeah, you got to know how to stay out of that kind of trouble.
Yeah.
It's a lot better off if you're kind of a geeky person to just be really, really good technically. Be so good technically they can't do without you. And you know what? How many faculty meetings have I been to at CSU since I've been here? About 3. And one of the reasons I avoid them is I don't want to get involved in that politics. Okay. I don't want to jeopardize myself. I'm a geek. I don't do politics.
You're focusing on your career. Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. I don't do politics. Don't do departmental politics. Just keep me away from it. Because that's nothing but trouble for me.
So you just stay focused on your goal, your career, and
I make sure that my graduate students do well. I get them good jobs, that I mentor them, that I do good research projects. I teach my class well. I just focus on that. You know, I've learned how to avoid these kind of things now. So if, let's say you're mentoring some kind of geeky kid who wants to go work for the Weather Service, you need to warn him, keep his nose to the grindstone, stay a techie. I've seen too many smart techies get promoted into management and just crash and burn. They can't handle the social pressure. You take a good person who'd be a super good weather forecaster or weather analyst, make him a manager, and he's ruined. But on the other hand, that geek should not be toiling away with low pay. I think there needs to be, you know, management should not be the only path into higher pay.
How do you think the role of a mentor-mentee can influence the
Well, a
forecast?
mentor can help a person avoid the problems like that. Well, don't, you know, like the mentor would get the person off, let's say a thing where this guy stood up and told that guy wasn't competent for the job. The mentor would take the employee out for coffee somewhere away from the office so no one would hear him talk. Or maybe go for a walk in the park and say, yes, Mr. Jones is not qualified, but that's a political appointee, and if you touch that, you're going to be fired. Just don't. There's a time to keep your mouth shut and keep your so, you know, look at those weather maps on that computer, and that's where you better stay.
Okay.
But a good mentor can help a guy, you know, let's say kind of a little bit of an Asperger-y kind of geeky guy, help him to stay out of trouble at work, not lose his job.
So do you ever, like if you needed to talk with an old mentor, do you ever pick up the phone and give them a call and just...
Yeah, I have. Yep. Now, unfortunately, my science teacher's dead, so I can't call him up. But I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
I've helped mentor some younger forecasters, and they still call me from time to time. And
well, yes, and there's people that I'm really good friends with that I've called up. See, I have people that are social, like kind of social mentors, and they're not in the business. And then I have mentors that are more career related.
And how does it make you feel when you've made that connection with a mentor? I mean, is it like gaining a new friend and
Oh, absolutely.
Like
because when on the weekends, I'd go over to Carlock's house on the weekends, and that made my weekends. I would have just been lost when I first went to college if I hadn't gone over to Mr. Carlock's house on weekends and do science projects.
If you had one piece of advice that you could give to someone that's just going to become a new mentor, like they're new at doing this, what would that piece of advice be? Be prepared
to spend a lot of time doing it. The other thing is you want to avoid a situation where maybe the mentee, the person who's being mentored, gets so good that the mentor might get jealous and not have the mentee's best interests at heart. I've seen that happen.
Fabulous. Yeah, that's very important, I think.
And a good mentor needs to get a joy in seeing his students do well or his mentees do well. Like my students, for the most part, have gone out and gotten good jobs. Also, I've worked hard to help place my students in good jobs too.
Yeah.
Because I think that's part of my job. And then I've talked to them after they get their jobs, and when they have a problem at work, they've called me and I've talked to them about it. I still do some mentoring after my students leave graduate school.
Okay. Well, so there's a continuation of that mentoring.
That's right.
Even after they're gone sometimes.
That's right.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you'd like to mention on
No,
mentoring?
that'd be basically it, but I think mentoring is extremely important.
Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day.
Okay, that's wonderful.
All right, thank you.
Okay, yeah, bye.
As you can tell, Dr. Grandin tells it like she sees it. One of the important lessons learned while speaking with Dr. Grandin is that she had room for multiple mentors in her life as she grew up. She made a comment about needing a professional mentor and a social mentor. This ability to recognize the need for different types of growth can play an important role in your willingness to accept mentoring. Dr. Grandin chose to accept the help and has thrived as a result. Will you do the same?